So let's talk about Mean Girls. Mean Girls in adulthood, which I find endlessly fascinating and has been sort of in the culture very recently. There are a couple of main examples that occur to me, and I'll bet to you guys too. The first is a story that has had real legs, and because it's a Mean Girls friendship thing and a real friendship breakup, I think that this is why people are still talking about it. It is the epic final episode of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, which saw Garcelle Beauvoir, who is a fan favorite and in my estimation, one of the greatest ever to do it, sitting on the couch next to her actual friend on and off the show, Sutton Strack. And she is betrayed in real time by Sutton, who is so desperate for these terrible, viperish women to like her and accept her into their clique, that you watch her turn on Garcelle and you watch Garcelle's expression register this in real time, how she is being iced out of the show and out of the friend group. Take a look.
Not one person had looked at me here and smiled. And I just
through the day?
Yeah, when we first got here, yes, but nothing else.
So that's exhibit A of what Mean Girls do in the sort of stages of ejection. The minute Garcelle said, nobody has even smiled at me all day, the concerned faces come right up. Really? Oh, you mean all of you who have been icing this woman out are now suddenly concerned and saddened by this expression of feeling just cut out completely? I'm shocked. Okay, here's stage two.
I was smiling when I first got here. And then it all changed, but it's okay. It's okay.
Well, it's not okay because you're upset.
It's okay.
And not...
It's okay.
And that's how you can tell that her emotion is genuine, because you see her mouth begin to collapse, which is sort of the first stage when you're about to lose control and begin openly crying, and you don't want to cry. So you're really trying to fight it. And, you know, Andy Cohen, of course, leaning in and saying, well, it's not okay. Well, the whole entire point of you being there is to behave like this. Led by the ringleader, Andy Cohen himself, who, trust me, does not like women. I love your channel. I watch it all the time. He does not like women. Third and final stage of Mean Girl expulsion is here.
Nobody said, oh, okay, you have accountability. Everybody jumped on me. And I felt like I was on an island by myself. I can't be friends with people like that. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. And they obviously don't like me.
I don't get it.
Maybe feels unfair.
What's unfair, though?
I don't really understand.
Okay, so now they're all convening and saying they don't understand why this woman is so upset. And that last statement by Sutton Strack, the blonde woman in the ball gown, who said, I don't really understand it. She knows Garcelle better than anybody on that cast. She just wants to be one of them so badly. And trust me, next season, if she comes back, she will be eaten alive, and she deserves it. So joining me now is Dr. Erin Foster, who is an expert in this kind of aggression. Thank you, Dr. Erin Foster, for joining us.
Thank you, Maureen.
So I've been thinking about this a lot because, you know, there was what we just saw, this most recent season of The White Lotus, expertly depicted among a group of 3 lifelong friends, middle-aged, successful, beautiful, accomplished, fit, wealthy, all of it, tearing each other down in the subtlest ways possible, but they were pointed and mean. And then, of course, you know, I have a goddaughter who's 11 who's going through this. I talk to her about the psychodynamics of 6th grade all the time. And the one thing I never say to her is it gets better, because it doesn't. If anything, it just gets worse and more subtle. So tell me why this persists in adulthood.
Well, this kind of behavior continues. One, it exists for 2 reasons, psychologically and then behaviorally. Why does it persist? That comes down to how self-aware are you and how willing are you to increase your insight about your self-awareness. And the root of this is deep insecurity. That seems obvious, but the insecurity is rooted in fear. The reason this persists is that some sort of childhood wound, some lack of attachment, continues to persist into adulthood. So that's the psychology behind this, is what wound, what attachment is not secure. And now you have this self-seeking, very deeply insecure, attention-seeking behavior. And the thought, the belief is, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. And I am terrified that somebody else is going to think the same thing about me. So what am I going to do? I'm going to project and I'm going to put it onto somebody else. And this is really a reflection of how someone thinks and feels about themselves. So we know hurt people hurt people.
Exactly. And I completely understand that psychology. But, I think one of the things I struggle with is just because somebody is struggling with their own insecurities, their own childhood trauma, it does not give you license to behave like an asshole.
That's right. It doesn't. And let's call this what it is, bullying. And bullying is really abuse. So let's take a deeper look at the behavior behind bullying. I'm a behavioral analyst, and I look at 4 areas of behavior in how you do something, and then 6 areas of why do you do it, your value, your motivation. One of the scales is about power and control. So if you do not have a healthy self-awareness, if you do not, also, if you haven't been modeled how to treat people, you will want to have power and control over others. Now, when you combine that with somebody who wants to get ahead, who is looking to produce a result with this behavior, now they become incredibly dominant. And then when you see that dominance, that's the bullying. And then the abuse comes out when it's, I want to have power over you.
So I've, in the days leading up to our conversation, I've really been giving this so much thought. I read the sort of Rosetta Stone of books on this topic, which is Queen Bees and Wannabes by Rosalind Wiseman. And that was actually Tina Fey's basis for the movie Mean Girls. Are you sensing a thread here, guys? And the one thing that book did not answer was the question that I really have, which is, where is this rooted in? It has to be more macro than any one specific childhood trauma or attachment issues or fear of not having power control, wanting to be liked, wanting to be queen bee. And I really think, and I'm curious as to your thoughts, it must be rooted in evolution. When there was a time when women had to compete with each other for very limited resources, and those resources being men who could hunt, kill, father, provide, protect. But we are long past that now. And in fact, we are in an era where it's made even worse because of social media, where, which my favorite aggression on social media is the post of everyone's hanging out without you. Everyone in your friend, and I've heard this story so many times, all generations of women. So talk to me about why this persists when honestly, we all know better.
We do know better, and there is no excuse for it. And it's petty and it's immature. And if we look at it from an evolutionary anthropological perspective, you had to think about self-preservation in order to survive. And I like what you're saying about the strongest, fittest man, the one who could provide food, is how you would survive. That's deeply rooted in our DNA. Well, you also had to survive based on the community. So when I look at it from that lens, in terms of social media, which has become too permissive to focus on self-preservation versus, am I treating someone with kindness? Am I treating someone the way I would wish to be treated? And that goes back to the self-awareness. Well, social media has allowed us to not be self-aware. It's given us permission. If I'm going to look at it from a Jungian psychoanalytic lens, it's given us permission to hide behind a mask. And what is the persona that I'm going to put out? But is that persona rooted in, am I thinking about how to help someone else, or is it rooted in how do I help myself in order to survive?
Is it just that your kink is being mean to people that you feel have something you don't, and you can't take it out on yourself, or you'd rather not, so you're going to take it out on that person? I want to share with you a personal anecdote from my adulthood, which, again, this is why I never tell my goddaughter it's going to get better. So this was around the height of COVID, the height of lockdown, and everybody sort of had their pods because you had to have some sort of social connection to get through it intact.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a neighbor invite me to a little outdoor dinner that she was going to host. And I really wasn't comfortable with it. And I said, I'll think about it. I don't really know. The next day I went to go pick up my phone to text my regrets. And she texted me and said, one of my friends, she blamed it on one of her friends. She's not comfortable with too big of a group, so you're not invited anymore. You're disinvited. I had never gotten a message like that in my entire life. It was literally like, just to be clear, don't come. And I was surprised how much it made me upset. Like I could feel tears like springing up. And it's not because I particularly liked this person. It was kind of a friendship of convenience, but it was more that somebody could be so cruel at the height of a freaking pandemic. Then the next day she finds me on this little road we live on. She's chasing me. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was so-and-so's fault. She was the one who said you couldn't come. I said, oh, you mean your friend who went to a party out in East Hampton where people with COVID knowingly showed up and she's worried about like infection? I said, did she get her COVID test before she came to your house? Oh, no. And in that moment, I was like, this is just too limited and sad of a person for me to even really give a shit about. But the act of being so deliberately cruel was the thing that transcended everything for me. And I couldn't believe it. A middle-aged woman behaving like this. So that's just a little bit of bruising from my own personal experience. But what's like the worst you've heard or has happened to you in terms of female aggression in adulthood?
Oh, wow. Female aggression in adulthood. First, I'm sorry that happened because it's really a reflection of how she feels about herself. And
clearly. I figured that out.
People with character, people with integrity don't go around intentionally wishing to destroy other people. And based on my own experiences of having overt aggression for something I did not do, is really about somebody who is jealous and intimidated and desperately wants what you have. Because people like you that have light, that speak truth, people who don't have that want that. And we live in this culture now that is permissive to be cruel. We live in this culture where now it is accessible to be unkind. And it really takes strength and it takes being brave to say, don't care, don't need that. I'm going to stand up to that.